I'm going to take on the very interesting task of reading A Metaphysical Interpretation of the Bible by Stephen L. Harefield, Ph.D. This is the revised edition. I know that a lot of you are having a challenge being able to afford this book, so I would like to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and start right from the beginning. I want to see how long it's going to take me to do this. And so, welcome to my experiment. This is something that it actually just kind of happened right now in this moment to do this, since I had decided that I was going to go ahead and read the book from cover to cover. Because a lot of times I just open it up. I started to read it. When I first got it, started from the beginning. And then I just found myself just jumping around in it. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and give it a whirl and read the whole thing. And I do want to share it with you guys. So this is for you guys in my study group. I appreciate you. And let's go on this fantastic journey together. And thank you to Stephen Harefield for doing the work on this book. I'm going to start with the introduction I said I was going to go ahead and start with we're going to go ahead and get the whole thing. Well, I'm not going to read you all the contents and acknowledgement and stuff, but I will read the preface because I think it's important for you guys to know. If we're reading the book, let's read the book, right? To know about the author. And the preface says, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." And this is from the Lao Tzu, 6th century BCE. It appears that producing this book came in a timely fashion when one considers all the present events happening in our world. From wars to natural weather and geological phenomenon to societal unrest, there seems to be struggles everywhere on many different levels of life, from humanity to Mother Nature. After having been thoroughly saturated by all of the above, it made me realize why I had chosen the path upon which I walk. 37 years ago, I had taken the first step on a course that led me to perpetual research, seeking the concept of enlightenment while being submerged in the experiences of everyday life. The accumulation of invaluable knowledge made me understand that humanity needed to fully awaken. It needed to recognize the way that we treat each other and our world without reverence or consideration. During these fruitful, inspired years, time passed in the studying and filtering of ancient texts, including the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi Library, Tibetan texts, Buddhist philosophy, the Vedas, and the Bible, as well as most of the variations of the apocryphal texts. The various religions led us to believe that we could fight in the name and for the glory of God with its support. According to their teachings, it did not matter whether these fights were individual or collective. From a metaphysical perspective, these teachings are gravely in error. The wars and feuds mentioned in all ancient texts refer allegorically to inner struggles that are decisive factors in our growth through our personal experiences. It is a most important point that we must grasp. God is not a vengeful entity as we have been conditioned to believe. It is a peaceful, loving God. Wars, fights, and struggles that we create are not for the sake of God. Their motive is purely human power and control. During this search for understanding that takes the seekers on a multitude of paths, One had to recognize that there were indeed many varied trends of thoughts in all these documents, including the Bible. The obvious question always was, why are there so many variations? It is no wonder that those who are dedicated to their quest read or seek them all. There had to be another meaning to all of this. Could God be indeed this mean that he would destroy people, as some have indicated? With this in mind, it could easily lead one. With this in mind, it could easily lead one in a multitude of directions to the point of disbelief or uncertainty as to what to believe. Conversely, the same variance could also reveal a path of incredible understanding and astounding inner peace, virtually unseen in this world of ours. This comprehension would provide the thought of just how diverse the facts of life and the idea of self truly are. It would also reveal the ingenuity of the creative principle. This path would enlighten one to true union of the individual life, woven in all its events. This is the key. When one accepts this viewpoint and demeanor, there seems to be no struggle whatsoever with anything or with any event, only external peace with all things. Deductively, if one person could do this, many others could also enjoy that same inner peace, not just in thoughts, but as examples, as leaders. These texts are a guide to that end and are filled with valuable insight into life and living it to the fullest. The contrasts are simply different perspectives of consciousness and mind interaction with that same consciousness. As an example, it is stated in the Dead Sea Scrolls that one human thought has the power to shake heavens. Imagine what one peaceful thought could do. What would a loving thought bring us? In that context, we would like to offer an insight into these biblical and older works. It is our desire to present a distinct approach in what concerns the original intention of the messages found in the Bible. It will portray a deeper meaning of life and living through the symbolisms and metaphors found in the texts. Today and during the time of the personal search that was leading me toward a higher spiritual understanding, I had the opportunity to study diverse religions, philosophies stemming from all parts of the globe. No matter what texts were read, there always was an intuitive sense that somehow all of them were attempting to convey something other than a God located somewhere at a given set of coordinates. There had to be a better understanding that what we had been conditioned to believe and to follow. Still, all the writings carried a very similar message, a common thread intertwined between them. They related to each other more often than not. These were serious perceptions at the time. It was difficult at the time. It was difficult to pinpoint its tangible source. This present belief system today were given to us by the majority of our current religious organizations. In truth, most of these sacerdotal classes left out or misled us on the idea of metaphysics and its vital importance in fully comprehending the Word of God. Yet the Bible is one of the most metaphysical books ever written. That was the common thread. What made us move away from this wonderful concept? What made us move away from this wonderful concept? Let us make this journey to see how this occurred and why we continue today to seek what is already in front of us. It will be also about learning the mystical side of the Bible and the journey of life so that we may apply the teachings without the religious viewpoint. From the results of my research, theological archaeology believes itself to be correct in the premise that there are only 5 distinguishable authors in the present-day Bible. It would be fairly safe to state that, with all the written documents involved, it is simply not possible. There's a different explanation for this limited number of authors. It is more likely that there were 5 editors selected through the centuries to bring the original manuscripts together and include them into one book that we now define as canonized Bible texts. This task lasted for several hundred years. The documents had to be compiled, evaluated, translated, and edited into the present-day Word of God. All this was done in a material sense for material minds. Further contemporary research records indicate that there were approximately 80 known works or Gospels gathered at the time of completion period, yet they were not included in the final volume. What happened to these documents? What did they contain? Why were they not allowed to be published in their original form is truly unknown. Could it be that they did not agree totally with the doctrines being complied as a canonized work? The missing words of wisdom left us by the ancients have been the crux of my research. Through the years of studying and seeking the truth, there have been innumerable interactions with many people from all over the world, but only one understanding. All inhabitants of this planet are indeed the greatest teachers one can truly discover. They provide a magnificent diversity because of their varied backgrounds and personalities. If we allow it, each of them, no matter what color or creed, can teach us something about ourselves, whether it is something we should or should not do. We all offer each other valuable lessons in this interfacing. These could be seen and appreciated if we were to stop placing blame on one another as the ancient texts relate. These could be seen and appreciated if we were to stop placing blame on one another as the ancient texts relate. We should learn to openly share these interactions as lessons free of opinions and judgments. After all, it is an experience. Ironically, the wise men who wrote the original text were telling us the very same things, but with a how-to approach. They advised us to clearly think our way through life, for life is what gives us experience through the sense system. Their messages were intended for individuals with different perspectives on the subjects of consciousness and mind operation. They were telling us who our teachers would be and how we were going to be taught through the experience of life. We are special in every way possible. We are as unique as a single snowflake in the midst of a winter storm. We were created to share the experience of life openly rather than own or attempt to control them. Through this concept, we are meant to demonstrate who we are and not what we are. The messengers of old show us how. We were designed not to hide our inner selves for any reason. Once we hide part of our nature, we no longer offer the truth of self or our usual nature. By hiding any attribute from view, we offer only deception to those that we encounter on the path of life. We are then unable to live a full life in an honest state of mind. Again, we find this very same philosophy in the Bible. If we act in this fashion, we begin a process of physical and spiritual reclusion simply because we shut our true selves off from an otherwise open life. We fear being judged by others or what they may think of us. We eventually become resistant to the prospect of living a better, more meaningful and loving life, even if we originally wished it. This is a book designed for deep inner reflective contemplation about ourselves and our interactions in all matters as the original creators of the words intended. It is a self-help guide from a spiritual point of view meant to generate an understanding from the inside out rather than outside in. As we practice in our modern era, you guys be patient with me with my reading. This is my first time ever doing something like this to this capacity. And so I hope that is easy for you to understand and flow with. And I will continue to do the best I can. And we continue. Its purpose is to get a person to see that life itself can be transformed by a simple change of thought or act, or most of all, a change of feeling. Any of these alterations will bring a shift in our overall lifestyle and those around us, or in other words, living consciously. It is that simple. The words in these pages have been designed to result in a potential shift of the psychophysical attributes of the readers, including their personal lives. It is conceived to rid ourselves of the heteroclite nature, heteroclite, heteroclite nature of the mind brought on by inbred beliefs that are now outdated. On the one hand, this is not easy reading, yet it can be if we decide to do an inner search of self and see who we truly are in all that we do and not what we have become. It is also designed to remove the illusions of life in exchange for inner peace. We must take a moment to reflect on what is offered and its relationship with our own being. In the course of our lives, we may inwardly ask ourselves, why am I experiencing this now? The ancients show us how to grasp that comprehension, providing we know how to distinguish the true meaning of what we read. Therein lies the answer. This present work has been written in as straightforward a manner as possible, while keeping the focus, the individuality of each mind. The only requirement is to carefully and objectively reflect on what is being offered, as it is designed to create thought within you. The ultimate journey is to the center of our own being of life. It is how you think of you. We need to don our objective thinking cap and peer into our own circumstances. We must remove any level of blame in order to bring about clarity, understanding, and spiritual growth in our lives. Spiritual growth is not as much a mystery as it is one of a mystery. I'm going to say that again. Spiritual growth is not as much a mystery as it is one of mystery. Lao Tzu once stated, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." It is the full knowledge of one's own mind and thoughts wherein lies the power of the universe. It is the act of moving into higher forms of thinking and feeling. We hope this work will create a deeper comprehension of life in general, using this level of spiritual methodology. The most important key is the journey into and through life upon which we have decided to embark. From the instant of our birth, life is the only path we may take, and no matter how doubtful we may be, it cannot be avoided. It is the reason why we incarnate in the first place. We must learn to confront our inner selves, to remove doubt in order to grow. We must persevere to the end. This is when we're going to go to 2 more minutes, because I'm starting to feel that this shouldn't be any longer than 30 minutes, because then I'm going to start to stutter. So we're going to go a few more paragraphs here. Let me finish that one. It is the path toward the self-mastery of life, and it begins within each of us, leading us to shape our own fates knowingly. Our contemporaries in life itself at times are our very teachers through the experiences presented to us by events and encounters themselves. Each of us has a different level of understanding and sees these events in various perspectives. However, most of us tend to hold on to them, and as Dharma would have it, struggle follows. We may choose another option and attempt to avoid many of life's experiences, but this practice is not recommended. We hope that this book will lead to a better appreciation of personal growth through the wisdom of the ancients and give you an insight as to what these personal events can be, as well as what they can mean individually and or collectively. On the surface, some of life appears not to be too enjoyable, but if we decide not to circumvent the more bothersome occurrences, it will indeed add to our knowledge and wisdom. When carefully studied, you will find that the Bible is about the cycles of life and the events within each of them. It even tells us why life is indeed cyclic, 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 and how we can break said cycles if we so choose. First, though, we must separate ourselves from the old tradition understanding of the ancient messages and open ourselves to the richness and depth provided by the wisdom of the new interpretation. By doing so, we break the bonds and the cycles that will no longer influence us, and life becomes what it was intended to be for each of us, a life filled with ever-flowing love, peace, and harmony between us all, were we to allow it. A metaphysical interpretation of the Bible is not meant as a religious dissertation. It is nothing less than a guide to higher consciousness. The Master's original intention was the same. In his words, he was attempting to convince they who have ears to hear that the Creator is not external God, but rather an internal one. This work has been devotedly composed to present a deeper comprehension of the book known as the Bible in a metaphysical sense. It offers guidance on how we can live it spiritually. The Christian belief system is the largest religious belief system known through all of humanity. As a result, it has become one of the most powerful and wealthiest organized structures in the world in its sphere of control. At one point in time, in its early stages, it even attempted to eradicate any other belief that was discovered by the first explorers. It has become so forceful and dominant that it even controls minds and thoughts to its will. Many have surrendered to it. The Bible is full of ancient messages about life and how to live it. If we learn to read it, and the God we so desire to find has been in front and within us, all our understanding, the wisdom of the metaphors, we could indeed realize that lives. We could indeed realize that lives. The book you hold in your hand is written as a very large parable. And let me just say, you guys, get the book, put it in your intention to purchase this book. As you can tell, as I'm reading in the pages, I'm reading it, and you may not read it in the same way, or, your cadence may not be the same, and it might not click for you in the same way, because tone and sensation is everything. So I definitely recommend intending and manifesting this book into your life by some way. But this is what we got. This is what was inspired. So let me go ahead and continue. The book you hold in your hands is written as a very large parable compared to those in the Bible, but in the form of Zen Quan. A Zen Quan is intended to produce profound abstract thinking in a person. It is designed to introduce deep meditative inner reflective thoughts. Once you reach that state of mind, you can attain the most penetrating understanding of self and its relationship to life and people. Most importantly, it will help establish a solid association with the idea of the creative principle and self, to fully realize that we are one with all things, and that is God itself. The inner-outer separation to which we have been conditioned to believe and follow for over 1,600 years will dissipate. The understanding can be achieved by using all attributes of the human mind, thinking with both the logical and abstract sides of the brain. It would lead us to see ourselves as we truly are and not as we think we are. These are generally two distinct separate trains of thoughts. The purpose of this book is to induce each reader to reach for his or her higher spiritual nature, with religion for the idea of godhood or enlightened mind of God within. The readers may, of course, reach their own conclusions and hopefully glean enough information to their own spiritual growth. We cannot avoid life, therefore we hope to furnish enough guidance to help you live it to the fullest of intentions and accept the lessons as you grow instead of circumventing them. The general dissertation of this book covers relevant scriptural texts, and the explanations thereof could be considered of a metaphysical nature. We strive to show how to live a spiritual life, not a religious one. It is designed to dispel the way that religious fundamental organizations have practiced to instill the fear of God, thus establishing the present-day idea of the Creator and our struggling lifestyle. However, it is not our intent to move people away from their chosen denomination. It is our innermost desire to bring openness on the acceptance of the concept of the creative principle, to end confusion and turmoil created by the conditioned notion of Satan and hell. Did the Christ himself not state that the house divided cannot stand? What would the reasons be for religion to proclaim and teach such division? We simply wish for the readers to have a greater level of flexibility toward religion within themselves and to merely read the Bible under a different light. We do not need to follow a one-size-fits-all pattern as we have for 16 centuries. We were created as free thinkers, and as such, we must fit our own without the influence of others or of a belief system found on fire and brimstone. No matter what we think or believe, we each walk a different path. We may all be here together and we are all traveling in the same direction. However, because of our personal individuality, we may not be on the same road yet. Yet the goal is the same. You will discover that parts of this work may appear to be repetitious. In some respects, they are, but we are dealing with the same basic data of 4 separate and distinct levels of life. They are the obvious physical, the mental, emotional, and most importantly, the higher spiritual levels. When combined, they make up the consciousness of the human form, and none should be left out. In the opening chapters of Genesis, does not the Bible state that we are all in the image and likeness of the Creator? It will be our endeavor to portray what that entails. This view will allow us to see the subject in the full light of self. It is truly my earnest desire to see an end to personal struggle, greed, and domination of life, to guide us to a more peaceful and loving way of living, a life sharing and enjoying what it holds for us. Imagine a world free of discrimination on all levels, everything being a state of true equality. Imagine a life of happiness, one of trust and devoid of deception. It is the truth of life and the direction in which we must travel. In our present era, we are beginning to witness a very tangible transition as people embark on seeking newer understanding of old teachings. They are searching for the reasons as to why documents and facts were hidden when compiling the original creation of the biblical text. Many new discoveries are coming to light. Does not the Bible tell us the truth shall be made known? We hope you will read and enjoy this book and allow your lives to unfold in grace and beauty in all respects. We must seize the moment we have, for this is all that we truly have. All things are created in the moment and never after the fact. Ache, 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 and so it is. This is fantastic. Thank you all so much. This ended right at 28 minutes, so I'm grateful for that. I am going to seek further confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. Actually, this is not going to be released until I get further confirmation that this is the right thing to do in sharing this with you guys in this way. This is from A Metaphysical Interpretation of the Bible by Dr. Stephen L. Harefield. And I've had this book since 2017. And I have never read it cover to cover. I open pages, I do my thing with it, I go to it, when I need, inspiration and information. And so this is the first time that I'm going to be going through it from beginning to end. And This book is about $900 to purchase. I think the lowest that I heard that it's been found has been $390. And so I know that that can be a challenge. And this is something that once you get through this book, you recognize that, yeah, you are an infinionaire and you are the money all the time. And I know that this book is a confirmation to this knowing that I've had for, a very long time, since 2013 to be exact. So thank you all so much for this today. And I do have a feeling that we're going to continue on with the pages of this book. 30 minutes a day. We're going to see. We're going to make it happen. Ache. And so it is. Adios.